Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 8 NFL predictions. So last week, I had a record of 10-5, and that brings my record on the season to 67-40. Kicking things off this week with Thursday Night Football, where we have the Rams hosting the Vikings. So the Vikings, they're coming off their first loss season last week as they lost to the Lions, and they're looking for a bounce-back win. They now face a Rams team that isn't great at just 2-4. The Rams are also very bad defensively, allowing 25.7 points per game, and they have to try to contain a good Vikings offense that's scoring 28 points per game. The Rams offense isn't great either, scoring just 19 points per game, and they now face an elite Vikings defense, which is allowing just 17.8 points per game. But the Vikings, they're the much better team here on both sides of the ball. I think they'll win this game fairly easily, get a good bounce back win, and the Vikings get back on track with a 27-13 win. Moving to the games on Sunday, beginning with the Ravens at the Browns. So the Browns will be starting Jameis Winston at quarterback after Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles and is out for the season. But we will see if Jameis Winston can maybe spark the offense, because the Browns' offense has been awful, as they're the fourth worst scoring offense in the NFL, scoring just 15.6 points per game, and they're also the third worst passing offense in the NFL, passing for just 159 yards per game. Now, I do think having Jameis Winston at quarterback will help the Browns' offense, and they also face a Ravens defense that's not great, as the Ravens are allowing 25.7 points per game, and are actually the worst defense against the pass, allowing 287 passing yards per game. So, while I could see the Browns finding some offensive success against a defense that's not great, I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with the Ravens' offense, as the Ravens' offense is the highest scoring offense in the NFL, scoring 31.1 points per game. And the Browns, they also don't have the defense to stop the Ravens' offense, as they're allowing 23 points per game. But I have the Ravens continuing to play well, and they'll win their sixth consecutive game, and they'll beat the Browns by a score of 31-20. Up next, we have the Lions hosting the Titans. So the Lions, they're coming off a huge win over the previously undefeated Vikings, and then they'll face a Titans team that's not very good. The Titans will be starting backup quarterback Mason Rudolph for the second straight week, as Will Levis is still banged up. But the Titans' offense is scoring just 17.7 points per game, and they don't need to try to keep up with an elite Lions offense that is scoring 30.3 points a game. The Titans' defense is pretty solid, as they are allowing the fewest yards per game at 270, although they are allowing 24 points per game. But the Lions, they're the much better team here. I think they will dominate a pretty bad Titans team, and the Lions destroy the Titans, winning 34-13. Up next, we have the Cardinals at the Dolphins. So the Dolphins, they've really struggled this season. They're just 2-4, and their offense is the worst scoring offense in the NFL, scoring just 11.7 points per game. Now, the Dolphins' offense will get Tua back from injury this week, and I think that is going to greatly help their offense. Because not only do they get their starting quarterback back, but they face a Cardinals defense that isn't great, as the Cardinals are allowing 25.4 points per game, and I think the Dolphins should be able to find some offensive success. Now, the Cardinals' offense is solid, scoring 21.4 points per game, but they face a pretty good Dolphins defense that is allowing 21.5 points a game, and actually the best defense against the pass. But I think Tua returning significantly helps the offense for the Dolphins, provides a spark for the entire team, and the Dolphins, they beat the Cardinals, winning by a score of 24-17. Up next, we have the Jets at the Patriots. So the Jets and Patriots are meeting for the second time this season, and in the first matchup, the Jets destroyed the Patriots, winning 24-3. Now, the Jets actually haven't won a game since that matchup, as they've lost 4 straight. The Patriots, they're even worse, having lost 6 straight, and are sitting at just 1-6 on the season. The good news for the Patriots is Drake May has been pretty good in his 2 starts, throwing 5 touchdowns combined. And Drake May and the Patriots offense now faces the Jets defense that is good, allowing 20.7 points per game, and is second best against the pass, allowing just 164 passing yards per game. Now, the Jets' offense has struggled, as they're scoring just 18.3 points per game, and the Patriots' defense isn't great, allowing 25 points per game. But while the Jets have struggled, I do think they get a much-needed win here. They're the better team, their defense is better, and I'll take the Jets in a lower-scoring game, 19-13. Moving on, we have the Buccaneers hosting the Falcons. So like the Jets and Patriots matchup, this is the second time these divisional opponents are meeting this season, but this is a huge game for both teams, as both these teams currently sit at 4-3, and are tied for first place in the NFC South. And while it is still very early, a win here could go a long way for one of these teams in potentially winning the division. But when these teams played in Week 5, this game was a shootout, and I think that could be the case this matchup once again. The Falcons, they're scoring 23 points per game, and the Buccaneers are scoring 29.9 points per game, although the Bucs will be without their top two receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Now, as far as the defenses go for each team, the Buccaneers are allowing 26 points per game, and the Falcons allowing 24.1 points per game. But I think this is going to be a higher scoring game, very similar to the first meeting between these two teams. And I would take the Buccaneers because their offense has scored over 30 points in 4 straight games, plus they're home. But I just worry about how their offense will perform without their top 2 targets. And I'm going to take the Falcons to win in a shootout 31-26, but this is a game that could truly go either way. Moving on, we have the Packers at the Jaguars. So the Jaguars beat the Patriots last week 32-16 in London, but they now face a Packers team that's playing well. As Packers, they're 5-2 and they've won 3 straight games. Their offense is good at scoring 26.6 points per game, which ranks 7th in the NFL, and they face the 3rd worst scoring defense in the NFL, as the Jags are allowing 27.7 points per game. Now, the Jaguars' offense is decent, scoring 20.7 points a game, but I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with Jordan Love and the Packers' offense. I think the Packers' offense will have a field day against a bad defense, and the Packers win this game pretty easily by a score of 34-17. Up next, we have the Colts at the Texans. So the Texans, they're coming off a loss to the Packers, where CJ Stroud played his worst game in the NFL, as he threw for just 86 yards and was under constant pressure. Now, the good news for the Texans is the Colts defense isn't that good. They're allowing over 21 points a game, they don't generate much pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and they're also terrible at stopping the run. As the Colts, they're allowing 160 rushing yards per game, and that is a great matchup for Texans running back Joe Mixon, who's averaging over 100 rushing yards per game. Now, the Colts offense is solid at scoring 22.1 points per game, but they face a Texans defense that is allowing just 277 yards per game, which is second fewest in the NFL, and they're allowing 22.7 points per game. So I do think this will be a close game, but I'm going to take the Texans to get the win. They're home. I think Joe Mixon has another big game on the ground, and the Texans win by a score of 23-16. Up next, we have the Bengals hosting the Eagles. So this is a very interesting game. The Bengals, they've been playing a lot better as of late, winning 3 of their last 4 after their awful start. And the Eagles, they're a team that has been very up and down so far this year, and they're 4-2. Now, both teams are good offensively, as the Bengals are scoring 25.4 points a game, and the Eagles are scoring 22.3 points a game. And then defensively, the Eagles are allowing 19.2 points a game, and the Bengals are allowing 23.7 points per game. Now, it does seem like the Eagles have the better defense. I was looking at the numbers, but I don't think the Eagles' defense is actually that good. But I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. Both teams, I don't think, are great defensively, and both teams are pretty good offensively. But I think this is going to be a shootout. I'm going to take the Bengals to get the win. I think their offense is better. They're home. I trust their offense more. And I'll take the Bengals to win in a shootout and get back to 500 on the season, 29-23. Up next, we have the Saints at the Chargers. So this is another interesting game, because I don't think neither team is good, but neither team is that bad either. Although the Saints, they've really struggled as of late, losing 5 straight, and they face the Chargers team that's also in a slump, losing 3 of their last 4. The Saints' offense isn't good, scoring 25.3 points a game. Now, that number is good, but it's inflated because of their 2 40-point performances to start the season. But in their last 5 games, the Saints are scoring just 17 points per game. But they now face an elite Chargers defense that is allowing just 13.8 points per game, which is best in the NFL. The Saints defense also isn't great, allowing 25.7 points per game, and they also struggle to stop the run, allowing nearly 150 rushing yards per game. Plus, they were gashed on the ground last week, allowing 225 yards to the Broncos. Now, running the football is exactly what the Chargers want to do offensively, as they have the second fewest pass attempts this season. But the Chargers, they're scoring 17.7 points per game and rushing for 116 yards per game. And neither of those stats are great, but I do think it will be better against the Saints defense that has struggled. But I'm going to take the Chargers to get the win. I think they'll win this game behind their run game and defense. And the Saints lose their 6th consecutive game, and the Chargers win by a score of 20-13. Up next, we have the Bills at the Seahawks. So the Seahawks, they snapped their 3-game losing streak last week with a dominant 34-14 win over the Falcons, but things don't get any easier, as they now face a good Bills team that's 5-2. Both of these teams are very good offensively, and I think this game will be a shootout, as the Bills, they're scoring 28.4 points a game, and the Seahawks are putting up roughly 26 points per game. Now, defensively, the Bills are allowing 19.4 points a game, and the Seahawks are allowing 23.4 points per game. But I think this is going to be a close game. I think this will be a higher scoring game. Going to Seattle is never easy, but I think the Bills are a little bit better on both sides of the football, and I've got them winning this game in a good game, 28-24. Moving on, we have the Bears at the Commanders. So this was supposed to be a matchup between the top 2 picks in this year's NFL draft, with Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels, but instead it's Caleb Williams against another former number 2 overall pick in Marcus Mariota. As Jayden Daniels is unlikely to play, as he's dealing with a rib injury, and that is bad news for a Commanders offense, which is scoring 31.1 points per game, but they now have to face a good Bears defense that is allowing just 16.8 points per game, which ranks 4th in the NFL. They have to face a good defense without their starting quarterback. Now, the Bears offense is also pretty good, not quite the level of the Commanders, but they are pretty solid. As the Bears, they're scoring 24.7 points per game, and Caleb Williams has thrown 6 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Now, the Bears offense faces a Commanders defense that is allowing 21.7 points per game, but I don't think they're as good as that number may suggest, as they've also played some pretty bad offenses like the Panthers, Browns, and Giants. But I do have the Bears getting the win here. If Jayden Daniels were playing in this game, that might be a different story, but I've got the Bears winning in a close one. I don't think Marcus Mariota will lead the Commanders to find enough offensive success, as they match up against good defense, and I've got the Browns beating the Commanders by a score of 26-17. Up next, we have the Panthers at the Broncos. So the Panthers will be starting Bryce Young at quarterback for this game, but that is because Andy Dalton suffered a sprained thumb in a car accident, but the good news is he is okay. But the Panthers offense is already not good, scoring 15.7 points per game, and they're now starting a quarterback who has really struggled. They also face a great Broncos defense, which is the 3rd best scoring defense in the NFL, allowing just 15.1 points per game. Now, speaking of defenses, the Panthers' defense is absolutely awful, as they're allowing 34.7 points per game. Now, the Broncos' offense isn't the greatest, scoring under 21 points per game, but they put up 33 points last week, and I think their offense will have another big game against an awful defense. But I think the Broncos will win this game pretty easily against what is just a terrible Panthers team, and the Broncos win by a score of 30-10. Up next, we have the Chiefs at the Raiders. So the Chiefs are the last remaining undefeated team in the NFL, as they're 6-0. The Chiefs' offense has been solid this season, scoring 24.3 points per game, but the offense is getting even better as they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I do think the Chiefs will have a big offensive game, as they face a Raiders defense, which is the 4th worst scoring defense in the NFL, allowing 26.1 points per game. The Raiders' offense is also bad at scoring 17.7 points per game, plus they don't really have a quarterback. As Aiden O'Connell, who was starting, who isn't even that good, he broke his thumb, so they'll now be starting either Gardner Minshew or Desmond Ridder. But the Raiders' offense is already terrible. They're now playing with a new quarterback, and they face a great Chiefs defense, which is allowing just 17.2 points per game. But the Chiefs, they're the much better team here. I think it'll show. They'll win this game easily by a score of 23-6. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, where we have the Cowboys at the 49ers. So we will have a live watch party for this game that will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Sunday, so I hope to see you guys there. But both these teams have struggled to start the season, as the Cowboys are just 3-3, and the 49ers are 3-4. Both teams have been pretty good offensively, but have really struggled on the defensive side of the ball. As the 49ers, they're scoring 25.7 points a game and allowing 22.6 points a game, while the Cowboys are scoring 21 points a game and allowing 28 points a game. But the 49ers, they're very banged up, as they're still without Christian McCaffrey, plus they lost Brandon Ayuk for the season, and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, and others all missed practice. Now, most of those injuries are on the offensive side of the ball, and that could limit the 49ers offense, although they do play against a pretty bad Cowboys defense. Now, I could really see this game going either way, but with how injury-riddled the 49ers are, I could definitely see the Cowboys winning, but I just don't trust the Cowboys. The 49ers have also won 3 straight games against the Cowboys, and I'm going to take the 49ers to get the win by a score of 27-17. And our final game, we have the Giants at the Steelers on Monday Night Football. So we will have a live watch party for this game that will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Monday. So again, I hope to see you guys there. But the Steelers, they're coming off a dominant 37-15 win over the Jets and improved to 5-2 on the season. Russell Wilson was great in his Steelers debut, and the offense is scoring 23 points per game. But if Russell Wilson continues to play like he did last week, that average could easily become a lot higher. But the Steelers' offense now faces the Giants' defense, which is solid, allowing 21.3 points per game. Now, offensively for the Giants, they're scoring just 14 points per game, and are one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Now, the Giants are playing on the road, where somehow they're scoring 23 points a game, but the Giants' offensive line really struggled last week without left tackle Andrew Thomas, and obviously he's out for the season. And I think the Giants' offensive line is only going to be even worse this week, as they now have to face TJ Watt and a great Steelers pass rush. But the Steelers, they've looked great to start the season. I think their defense dominates this game, their offense continues to play well, and the Steelers beat the Giants pretty easily by a score of 24-10. But those are my Week 8 NFL predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications so you don't miss any of their upcoming videos. Be sure to check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win some of this week's big games. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.